I'm Tammy McCarthy.
And I'm Becky Davis.
We're two soul sisters on the front lines of growth and transformation, getting real about it all.
You know, sometimes we're totally in our woo-woo groove, walking on light.
Yep. And other times, we lose our footing and end up tripping over those very same rays of sunshine. That's woo-woo in the real world. On this show, we're giving you an inside look at all the healing practices and mindfulness that we use and how we integrate them into our lives.
Yep, we're talking to interesting people who can help us along the way as we look at some of the woo and wild things that make us go,
We hope that you'll join us, living woo-woo in the real world. Well, welcome back to Woo Woo in the Real World, and we are chugging away on our season 2 here. Our theme is
rituals.
Yes.
And today we are talking about the water element.
Yeah, so we've been focusing on the elements of nature. And today, as you said, we're focusing on water. And I'm so excited about our guest here today. We have a live guest, which is always so much fun.
It is.
We have Nina Curley here. And Nina and I met, I mean, we have a lot of crossover in our worlds. Our kids go to school together. We live in the same community. Professionally, Nina was the vice president and the, I'm going to get this right. I'm going to get this right. Tell me. It's such a great title.
I was the vice president and chief development officer.
Chief development officer. That's what it was.
She raised all the money.
Yes.
For
a
really
great organization in the arts, but also in our community. So how lucky are we? Caramore.
So lucky.
Such a great place.
Absolutely. So welcome, Nina.
Thanks for having me, you guys. This is great.
Yeah.
It's so great to have you.
So one of the things that we focus on here in Woo Woo in the Real World is, you know, Becky and I, we've had this journey of soul seeking, and we tell stories. Well, our friendship really blossomed from telling each other stories.
It did.
Because we share this so passionately, and became great friends and soul sisters because of it, right? Yeah, so Nina and I sat down for coffee one day to catch up at a local coffee shop. And when I walked in, Nina was there first, and sitting on the table was this beautiful book.
It is beautiful.
This is the one that Nina gifted me, which I'm so happy and grateful for. And it's called Moon Bath, and it's bathing rituals and recipes for relaxation and vitality. So we're going to dive into this book a little bit, but we're going to talk to Nina because I was like, okay, she had shared some things with me where you weren't really a woo-woo person. But tell us how you came upon this book, part A. And part B is, when I heard this story, I was like, we have to have this conversation on the podcast.
Oh, wow.
Because I want Becky to hear it.
I can't wait. I have not heard it. I'm with everyone else
people to
listening.
hear it.
Yes.
Right? Because it was such a beautiful example of just how you got this book as a gift yourself, and you dove into it. And Nina, hello.
Okay, hello. Thanks so much for having me.
This is great.
I will tell
let you take it away.
Sure, of course, and please interrupt with anything. But and if it's different than what I told you, maybe if I'm forgetting something,
please.
you can remind me.
It's all good.
I got this book from my sister for Christmas. It's from one of my most favorite stores in the whole world, which is up in Massachusetts. So she had put together a whole bunch of different things from the store, plants and cookbooks and all the things that I like. And she included this book, which would typically not really be my jam. I'm not particularly woo-woo in general, but I'm quite curious. And those two things sometimes can go together. So the background is that I got this book and that I don't love the winter. I really don't.
That's tough.
I have a hard time with
the
that,
Northeast.
but I have that
tough.
one. That hurts me too.
It hurts me too.
Too dark, too cold.
It's very dark. I
Yeah.
get the Sunday weepies, and January and February are not my best look.
Oh.
So my husband, who knows me well enough, said, you got this book. Typically, it would be something that you would just put on the shelf. Just read it and see what you think. So I read it and I tried to have an open mind, which was the key. And I thought, all right, this is basically a recipe book. I can do this. And we're headed into what I consider the armpit of the year. So
Totally. I'm right there with you.
right. So I'm going to just focus on this. This is where I'm going to put my brain, because otherwise I'm going to be thinking about things that I can't control and that are going to make me anxious, etc. So the book is the trifecta of woo-woo. It is ritual bathing. So you're basically making a tea almost with botanicals. It's based on the moon phases and on the seasons.
Wow.
So I was looking at this, and my skeptical brain was sort of going, all right, okay, moon phases, I gotcha. All right, go. All right, we're doing it.
I am being curious and open.
I'm being curious and open. This is Nina. We're judgment free. Do it. And that really was how I just had to take any skepticism, put it away, and just say, look, I'm doing it. So I opened the book and I Googled the moon phase. I saw that it was a waxing moon. So there's a moon that's growing. And it was the winter. So then I go to the waxing winter moon page. And I go on Amazon and I order all the various botanicals that I need and the essential oil that I need. And so this whole recipe happens. And I thought that was kind of the crux of it. Mm-hmm. All right, well, in 2 days is 2 days is the night that it's the waxing winter moon. It was like a Tuesday night in January. So of course it got dark at like 3:30 in the afternoon.
So depressing.
Oy vey. So I make the tea, I do the thing, and then I started reading more closely. And it's a lot more than that. So I needed to say some things to myself. I needed to say, I cultivate authentic connection. Ooh. Yeah.
Your eyes just got really big when you
I
said
know.
that.
You know why?
Was that a
Because I was
radical
like,
thing?
what the heck does that even mean? Okay, I'm
Fair.
going to say it. I'm saying it. I cultivate authentic connection, dumping in my tea, sprinkling in my essential oil. By the way, pro tip, cardamom oil is magic. It makes makes you feel like you are in a Scandinavian wood. It's so the olfactory element was there right away. So I repeated this mantra, and there's a series of questions that I'm supposed to ask myself while I'm in the bath. Okay, I'm doing it. I get in the bath. It actually smells really good. It feels good. And I start to actually think about these questions. When am I most connected to people? To whom am I most connected? I would actually have to look up what the specific questions are. So, and then there's more. You get out and there's some sort of almost optional elements. There's an element of massage. So this is a really grounding practice. There's a foot massage piece. There's questions that you ask yourself after the bath. So my husband came up and he said, how was it? Did you just feel like you were sitting in a bunch of tea? Right. And I said, no, actually, it was really nice.
Wow.
It was really nice. There was a lot of space that I gave myself. It was a lot of quiet time. I have 3 boys. So giving myself a lot of physical space, some mental space, but with the guidance of these questions, which was critical because I have a squirrel brain. I will make the lists, replay the conversations, do all the overthinking, whatever it is. But you couldn't because you had almost a
different kind of guide.
A different kind of guide.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is amazing.
It was amazing. And so what happened was I decided this is what I'm going to do this winter. This is my thing now. Really weird, but okay, we're doing it. So every week when it was the new moon or the waxing moon or the full moon or the waning moon, I would do the prescribed bath. I would say the mantra. I would think about the questions, really sort of process them. And I started to have some aha moments, which was really interesting.
Anything you want to share?
I'm glad you asked.
Sure.
I was going to ask the same thing.
Absolutely. So let's see. One of the questions in one of the moon phases, I can't remember, was with whom do you feel most authentically yourself? Where are you? And I was going through it, and I was closing my eyes and thinking about it, of course, with my family and whatnot. And there was a mom friend, basically a sort of neighborhood woman that I had been doing walks with in the fall. We were not that close, just sort of, she's the mom of my kids' friends, something, whatever, basically. I had not put much effort, and I was thinking about this and processing, and I realized that when I had been going on these walks with this woman in my neighborhood, I really felt great. I felt like $1,000,000 afterward. There was an energy there. It felt very safe. And so the aha moment was, I should work on it. This is a friendship that I should prioritize. I should pay attention. Because I can be a little fast moving and just sort of out of sight, out of mind. So that was a good
That's
one.
great.
I would not have necessarily thought that this was something that I should drive toward and that I should be intentional about. So those types of aha moments, not necessarily life-changing, but small tweaks.
Yeah.
Right, but small tweaks can be so significant. I mean, we talk about that all the time, right? So I actually, listening to you, this question came up in my mind for me that I would love to ask you, which is, prior to this amazing ritualized bath experience, what was your bathing experience like before?
I was a shower taker, and really bathing was utilitarian. Take your shower. That's it. Here endeth the lesson. So
I'm with you.
Right.
I'm not a bather either.
Yeah.
So I would approach that the same way, because it takes so much time.
It takes a lot of time.
Not very
and
efficient.
I have that narrative that I don't have time, which is not true.
Right.
It's not
but
true.
it's a narrative that I perpetuate. And we moved into our current house during COVID, and the house has a great bathtub. I think that's probably why my sister gave me this book, even though I'm not particularly woo-woo. She knew that I should be using that bathtub better. Whereas before, we had one of those tubs that were teeny tiny,
Right.
and various parts of your body are coming
Right.
out, and it's not good.
That's not a good experience.
It's not
yeah.
good. You look like an archipelago of islands. And so she knew, I think, that I wasn't really putting this tub through its paces and that I should. And she was right.
Oh, wise sister of
Oh,
Nina.
wise sister. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the utility of bathing really was what it was.
Yeah.
Get your hair wet, shampoo it, condition it, get out. Or, I'm thinking about things like, how often do I shampoo my hair? Stuff like that.
Or shave your legs. Like,
or
is
sha-
this
right.
a shave your leg day?
Right.
Or?
Is this a shave your leg? Well, it's January, so
I know,
no.
you're not
I can
shaving
tell you
those
right
legs.
now. The answer is no.
Absolutely.
No, dead of winter, absolutely not.
Right.
Yeah.
So I like to cook. So the ritual that I know is about cooking and chopping things and smelling things and preparing things and things like that. And so because that's a necessity, I make time for it. I don't think about bathing as with time and space as a necessity, just the getting clean part as the necessity.
Yeah.
So that was a new one, that kind of time and space, no screens at all. All your senses, so you dim the lights or you turn them off, candles, the whole thing. So Tammy, you know all about this. You're way down this road, but I didn't.
Right. No, that's why I am in awe of you for just being so open to it, because and for those listening, I mean, hopefully go to our YouTube video, because we'll show you some visuals of the book. But this is like an advanced course in bathing, right? Intentional ritual bathing, right? And you really embraced it and dove right in there, right? In terms of sourcing your own ingredients from the recipes and gathering up whether in some of them there are crystals, obviously essential oils, right? So there are all these different components, making sure you had a journal, right? And so there was a process of getting ready and sourcing, understanding the moon phases, and then actually doing it. And actually doing it once you got into that water, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Even
that
when
was
you
a
were
key.
skeptical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were like, I don't really know what that even means,
Yeah.
but I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it over and over, and then something will click, probably somatically. Something in my body is going to tell me what it means
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah.
But just because I don't know doesn't make it
Right.
invalid.
Right.
So, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, did you get there? I mean, when you
I
said
did.
so
I
so
got
it
there.
did. You finally did
Not
come to a
until
place.
That first one, that waxing moon, the cultivating authentic connection, I didn't get there that night. I still didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it over and over. No problem. But the next time I did, or I knew what it meant to me, but it was a moment. I felt it, and
Yeah.
there were tears. I mean, it was
Yeah.
it was a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, the
That's
way
how
I
you know
found
you're
my
there.
way to it really was, I always loved bathing. For me, it wasn't about, the bubble bath. I didn't like putting anything in my water that was like bubbly or chemical or,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's not good for you.
Well, A.
Especially not good for
B,
women.
And
so
also,
you
I
have to
didn't
be
want to
careful.
clean the tub afterwards, right?
Yeah.
But the idea of salt and oils and candles and crystals and just adding intention into the experience, I really found my way there at a very low point in my life. I was running my agency in New York City. I had the kids, it was such a type A. You've been there, project manager in DC, right? And, we have our careers, we have our families, we're juggling. I had a young child who was, sick with a mystery illness. And for me, I literally gathered up, went, hunted, found stuff. And I couldn't go away on a girls' trip to a spa, but I knew I could go into my bathroom for like 25 minutes, right? And I made my own kit, my own ritual. And I remember I had said to my husband, Dan, he was visiting a friend of ours in West Hampton Beach, and I couldn't go. And I said, here are 2 mason jars. I want you to bring back some ocean water.
Oh, wow.
And I want you to bring back a jar of sand. And I remember for that particular bath, I had those jars, and I dumped that ocean water in the tub, and I had my sand on the, one of those tub caddies, right? And I lit candles, and I mixed up some oils and, some salts, and I put that in the bath with the ocean water. And I just made it so hot. And I just sat in that water, and I just talked to myself. And when I came out, I was transformed. And I left it all in the tub, and it went down the drain. And my whole energy was different. My whole mindset was different. And, when I was talking to Dan about this, he goes, okay, make 10 different kits. And I said, what do you mean make 10 different kits? And he goes, yeah, make 10 different kits. And so I began researching all the different recipes and putting all the recipes together and the mantras. And I actually started a company, a subscription company called Salty Bath. And it was a meditation retreat in a box, right? And there was this moment when I was stuffing boxes and being very happy that 200 people had subscribed to this thing. But I was also man, this is a lot of work.
My ritual bath that was so relaxing and calming has turned into something
Yes, but at the
else.
same time, I was being really fed by the fact that I would get the sweetest notes from
I bet.
people saying the things that you said. I have no idea, but I just took this in because I would have these little mandala cards with an affirmation on it. And so when you gave me this book, I was like, oh my gosh, this is everything that I was studying and putting together, and all the different properties of the botanicals and how I wanted to make my recipes. And I was like, look at these girls, go, go, go. This is like such a great book, right?
It is. And I love the fact that your entree to it was that it was recipes. And it does say bathing rituals and recipes. And you were saying you like to do that in the kitchen, chopping and doing things in the kitchen. So it is interesting how we can find little connections that'll bring us in. You said you were not woo-woo. This was not your thing.
Right.
But this probably was exactly the exact right formula, if you will.
It was. No, you're exactly right. If I had been given a book with the same cover and the same title that was all text, nothing that that looked like a recipe, you're right. I probably wouldn't have been able to access it quite as well. So that's a good point. And the other thing that I think is the surrender to not really needing to know why. That kind of, I'm not questioning this, but the science of it, which I don't know, but is clearly part of it, and the spiritualism and I didn't have a need to define which it was. Is this spiritual or is this science? So clearly I'm bringing my cortisol levels down very low, which is why I feel like I'm almost high when I come out of the tub.
Think about how we start life.
Right.
Yeah.
In the womb, in this warm water, being completely immersed and supported, right? And actually, I did highlight something here that I want to read for our listeners.
Okay, page, please.
Yes, just to bring them in, because this is what Nina stumbled upon, and when she was given this book, and I wholeheartedly back it up 100,000%, which is water is life, and sacred bathing rituals are nothing new. This is on page 16 and 17. And sacred bathing rituals, since we are, in our theme of rituals and we're focusing on the elements, in this case, water, sacred bathing rituals are nothing new. And the element of water, recognized as the giver of life, conduit for awareness, and keeper of prayer, serves to purify energy, renew the body, and nourish the soul. And, everybody also refers to Cleopatra for being this epic, iconic bather, right? And in the book, that's also cited that was bathing in warm water infused with botanicals and salts became a revered secret of hers for enhancing sensuality and revealing one's inner glow, right? And so think about what you stumbled upon, and it worked because it was nature, because that's what it was designed to do, and you just trusted it. Right?
Right.
And it did what it does. Yeah. And that's all. And then you experienced it to the point where you're like, whoa, what's the next moon?
Right.
What's the next
Right.
recipe, right?
Because it felt so good.
It felt so good. And then I did all of them. I did a bath every single week. And I think because it was new, and also because there's some breath work there. It was the easiest winter I ever had.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Elated. It was
nice.
bizarre. I think I was probably obnoxious because I was just
Your family was like, where
could you
happened
get
to
a
her?
grip? Right. Get a grip. But I really felt like everything's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. And I didn't put it together that I was taking time every week, that I was breathing very deeply. So the science of it means that there's blood flow to all my organs, that
Totally.
Well, you're nourishing your nervous system in a way that maybe in the other seasons, maybe the sun does that, or the being outside and the, nature does that. And in the winter, you're stuck inside. And so your nervous system may have been like, I'm not getting anything good that's helping me. And then you found something that really
that is
encouraged
exactly right. It was
Wow.
healing in a way that I absolutely didn't expect. And I didn't put it together until well into it. But it was great. It was really a great thing to do. And also it's a good distraction, right? Because you're building your little apothecary of different botanicals, and there's a scent element of it, there's a breathing element of it, there's the time that you take for yourself. And having it be a ritual is the key. If I had just taken one bath, it doesn't work that way.
That's right.
It has to be
Consistent.
And whether or not that consistency being connected to the moon is true, I don't care.
Right.
It worked
Exactly.
for me.
It doesn't
So
have
fine.
to be, and it
Right.
doesn't have to be connected to the moon, which is a beautiful thing, actually.
Right.
Right.
It just helps you stay on a schedule.
It helped me stay on the schedule. It helped me think about what these ladies ascribe to different moon phases. Again, I have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, but I'm here to listen, fine.
Yeah.
But the idea that in the new moon you are quiet, you are stoking your fire and saving your energy and getting ready to emerge. And in a waxing moon, you are coming out of your shell and you're connecting as much with everything around you. And in the full moon, you are full voiced as yourself. And then as the moon wanes, you are getting rid of things. You're shedding.
Yeah.
And so, again, true or not, I don't know. Who cares?
Right. Yeah, who cares,
Who
right?
cares?
Yeah, and it fits in with who we talk. I mean, we talk to so many people about spirituality and everything being cyclical and seasonal and the cycles. And our guest for the air episode, Marin Azoff, was here, and we were talking about the same thing about it's a cycle. There are going to be seasons for things, and if we work with that energy, it flows a lot smoother if we're aware of it, and just not that it's prescribing what's going to happen. It's just kind of knowing the forecast, right?
Totally.
Like, this is the season when, if you're trying to plant a garden in December in the Northeast, that's not going to work so well.
Not going to work.
Right? You can do it, certainly,
Right.
but is it going to yield anything? Probably not. So it's important to know how to work with the energy and the cycles of energy. So I love that you just broke that down that way for the moons.
Yeah, because it was once I read it, it was very intuitive to me.
Yeah.
And it helped me, it was a reminder almost to think about.
Right.
What does it look like when it's a full moon and I am my biggest self?
Yeah.
Whether or not that's actually related to the moon, I don't know. But
Yeah.
thinking about what my biggest self, my most fully informed self, what that looks like is worth doing, and I don't ever do it.
Right.
Thinking about what I would like to get rid of and shed is worth doing, and I don't ever do it. So this bath created space and prompts in a way that was really, really healing.
Yeah.
In a great way.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So right now we're in the time of summer, right?
Yes, indeed.
And a new moon, actually. Was the new moon last night or is it tonight?
It was
don't
Saturday
know.
night.
Okay, because I know it's
Because it's Monday now. It was Saturday night.
okay.
As
So
we're
the
recording
summer
this,
new
everyone,
moon
just-
is I am grounded in my vision.
Yes.
Well, I don't even know what that means, but I'll just
Right.
try it. I'll say it.
We want to unlock some stuff,
Exactly.
you know?
What does that mean? What is my new vision?
Mm-hmm. So what I love about this book too is the structure of it, right? So it's giving you this affirmation, I am grounded in my vision, right? And an intention, and to really, anything that we can put, give ourselves space to think about how we want to intentionally live, I think is a really good thing. So having this structure creates opportunity for that. And then it goes on to tell us the benefits. And then, so there's a summer new moon ingredients list. I love how they do this. The pictures are also so beautiful. But, one of the ingredients is a happy houseplant.
I know, I
How
saw
cool is that?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to know what's funny about that?
What?
I went out this weekend and bought new houseplants.
Ooh, you're just
It's
so
the
in
new
sync.
moon, right? I was like, when I read that, I was like, that's very funny because
my
I
gosh, you're
just
so
bought new
tapped in.
houseplants. I didn't even know.
There you go. You got to put one in your bathroom.
I know.
The other thing that you can do when you're on the contents page and you see all the seasons,
Yes.
you can, each full moon cycle is different in the different seasons. And so in the winter, it's about what you're cultivating and attracting, and there's a lot of
Right.
sort of stoking of fire. And in the spring, it's different, and in the summer, it's different. But the circle of it changes, and in the fall, it's more about a journey. And so it seems like they really thought about how we feel organically in different seasons.
Yep.
What is coming up for people in general in the different seasons, and that's how they're guiding us through the moon phases of those seasons in terms of what they want us to be thinking about and focusing on.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's great.
And they also have they have the elements, which is, did you notice that?
Yeah.
They have the elements with the new moon, the full moon, waxing moon, waning
Exactly.
moon. That's
Yeah,
great.
so we're in the air ether element
Right, for new moon.
for the new moon, for the summer new moon as well. So we're going into this fiery season, right?
Right.
But also a lot of air.
a lot of air.
A lot of air, because it's Gemini.
That's right.
Gemini is social, and
We'll be in Cancer very soon.
that's
Very
true.
soon.
As a
That's-
water baby
that is-
myself.
yeah.
Yeah.
But also on page 26, I want to go there because it says no bathtub, no problem.
Yes, I did want to cover that.
Oh, yeah.
So for a lot of people listening, they're probably like, all right, this sounds great, but like they may have that small tub that they don't want to climb into, or just never thought about going in there.
Right. Or just don't want to.
And they just prefer to shower.
Yeah, some people just don't
So
like a
Becky,
tub.
take us through page 26 and see what
Page
insights we can find there.
26. So they're talking about water therapy and how it's accessible to everyone. They're saying to do a hand or foot bath, fill a large bowl with warm water and add approximately half the bath recipe.
Oh.
So it's just putting your hands and your feet in the water, closing your eyes and focusing on your affirmation. So that's a great, super simple.
That's awesome.
Really
I actually
easy.
did order this beautiful foot tub from Amazon, and it's pewter, and it's cool, and it looks great. And if you don't want to use it for a foot bath, I've also thrown ice in it, and it makes a great champagne holder too for your champagne bottles if you're having a party.
Listen, multi-purpose.
Look,
It's
you
woo-woo in the
got to
real
get
world.
a bang for your buck wherever you can.
Oh my gosh.
But so that's awesome. I love a good foot soak.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I know we're like deep into the book right now, but I don't want
I
to
know,
forget
it's
to
so
ask you
good.
this question.
Sure.
Because you had said earlier that you had decided you were just going to be curious and keep an open mind and judgment free. But then at one point you said, I just decided to surrender. I was just going to surrender into this. And I'm just curious, and maybe you don't have an answer off the top of your head for this. But surrender is such a hard word for a lot of people. A lot of us like to hold on tight and stay in control. I might be saying that for a friend or for someone more personal. I don't know. But the whole idea of surrender is a big challenge in and of itself. And I'm just curious, for someone who says you're not a woo-woo person and you weren't necessarily looking for a new
She's sounding
spiritual
pretty
practice.
woo-woo when it comes to her bathing ritual.
I'm
Well,
one foot in,
now-
and one
One foot in, one foot out. I
exactly.
like
It's
that.
not that I'm not.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
that I'm
Right.
not all the way down.
Yeah.
And it sort of depends.
And but before you started this, would you have said you were 1 foot in, 1 foot out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think woo-woo is
Well, this is good.
hard to say without laughing, but each practice is different.
Yeah.
So, and it's almost like a woo-woo spectrum. So I'm very far down the acceptance of anything that is, for example, Chinese medicine. That doesn't even, for me, that doesn't even register as woo-woo. I'm pretty sure that my oldest child is because of acupuncture. There were all kinds of fertility stuff. So I'm picking up what they're laying down.
Yeah.
Then crystals, on the other hand, is much more about faith. So you're telling me that these are rocks and we are giving them magical powers. But what I do is I love a placebo. So I don't know if these rocks have these powers.
Right.
Also, I don't care because, fine, somebody gave me an amethyst once and told me that it was going to attract certain types of things. The human brain wants to see patterns. So now I'm seeing positive patterns because I was alerted to the fact that they might be coming by somebody giving me this amethyst. Those patterns may have been there, right? It's just that I was seeing positive patterns. And if somebody hadn't given me this crystal and said positive things are going to happen, maybe my lens would have been different and I would have been looking for negative patterns and I would have been reinforcing some type of negative narrative about, oh, woe is me and life is so hard. So the different practices I just sort of feel differently, but I'm willing to try almost all of them. Not really the ingesting stuff. I'm not necessarily going to ingest a lot of things, but all of the other stuff, because I don't know whether or not it's working for the reason it says it's working. But if my brain thinks it's working and my body thinks it's working, then great.
Right.
Fine.
And it's that reset, right? It's resetting just what you just said about I would be looking maybe for negative patterns, or I wouldn't be looking for those particular patterns if someone hadn't said it. But since they did, you did start looking for them. And so you did see them. So your awareness changed, which is really the whole point. So like
the
you
whole
said,
thing.
Does the crystal have the energy or does it not? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
But it reframes my perspective, and that's the key.
Yeah.
So, no. So I guess saying that I'm not a woo-woo person is not fair. I'm just sort of.
Oh yeah, no,
I don't know.
Hey,
I'm just sort of-
that's why
I like
we're opening
science,
up
but
the conversation.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's really, we're not defining it.
No.
We're interested in what people think about it and how, if given the opportunity to say, "Hey, are you woo-woo or not woo-woo?"
Yeah.
How
Right.
would you answer that?
Right. And we did for a while ask people, and we could ask you. I mean, we have asked people, like, what does woo-woo mean to you? And you kind of already described it. You're like, Chinese medicine, yes. You know, that's not even woo-woo to me. Whereas someone else, that would be totally off the table, you know?
A million years ago, meaning like the 1980s,
Yeah.
the idea that your mental health and your physical health were connected was like witchcraft. And now, of course, that's generally accepted. Some of that has to do with my father, who is a professor, does behavioral science and whatnot. So, but the idea that your brain that stress can poison you, or that sickness in your body can affect your mental health, that I do believe a lot, very wholeheartedly. And so things like the bath is a way of having my brain and my body integrate for positive responses and reactions. And I'm not sure how or why it's working, but it did. So who am I to kind of argue with the why of it?
Yeah.
But taking that time, doing that breath work, calming down in that way had hugely positive effects. So it was great.
I love it.
I do too. And I love everything that you're saying. To me, I'm seeing, even you just saying that about your dad was a behavioral scientist. All of a sudden I was like, oh, now this makes so much sense. How you're saying, like, does it have a real energy to it? I don't know. I don't care because it's doing what I need it to do.
Right.
It's almost like you bring a scientific mind to this process, but with a real scientific mind of curiosity, right? Which is really the scientific mind. It's curious, you're open, you're trying to make connections where they didn't exist before. It's not rigid and closed, or that's not science, you know?
But your point about surrender is a really good one, because that's a key part, is that I have to just not know and be okay with not knowing. And maybe my brain can heal my body a little bit, or maybe my body will. My brain's not broken, but you know what I mean? And the surrender is a critical element, at least for me.
Yes.
It may not be for everybody, but that kind of unquestioning, it sounds like I'm talking about a cult, but I'm not. It's really more like the unquestioning of the experience and seeing, then using my own experience as evidence, is how I try to approach things. But surrender is a muscle that you have to practice. So I'm not always an A+ surrenderer.
Absolutely.
But
we always have so many different factors going on in our lives, right?
Right.
And so, that's why it's a process. I mean, one day you may feel like, wow, I'm surrendering. I'm this whole person, and my heart and my head and my body, they're just all vibing together. And then something happens. And then you're just like, damn.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not surrendering anymore.
I
It's
hate
ridiculous.
everyone.
Taking
Right.
control of this. Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
Okay, let me just go back to the book.
Okay,
let me mix up
sure.
a recipe or whatever that thing
Right.
is, right? It's just like, just drop into your heart, just start to breathe, and just start to regulate your own nervous system. And that's usually the path into, okay, I'm feeling better. I'm connected to myself. I'm connected to my family and the world around us. And I think that's really, a message that I hope to help spread in the world today, because so many people are focused on external factors and listening to this person or doing something to please that person, and they're so disconnected from their own hearts, right? And then, life is hard, right? So we have jobs, we have families, we have responsibilities, and so there's so much noise coming at us all the time. I know probably you can relate to this as a consultant. I mean, certainly in my own agency life, it's like you're always reacting to the clients and the cultures within that you're working within, right? And those are always very different. Corporate culture can be very toxic. It could wreck your nervous system.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Right? But then you get home from the office and there's family and there's kids to put to bed and food to put on the table. And
Right.
When does mama get a break? When does mama get to just breathe?
Right.
And what I love about this book in particular, as an example, and your journey, Nina, is that you took the book, it resonated with you, and you did it one ritual at a time. And if we can just get more people being open to that one thing that's going to work for them, for me, that's why I'm sitting here having these conversations.
And giving all these different ideas.
Publish on the podcast.
Exactly.
Right?
Right. Just
Because
another idea.
I don't have the answers. You don't have the
No.
answers.
No.
We just have these experiences.
Yeah.
And we're all sharing this planet, right? And it's sometimes can be pretty messy.
Yeah. And be open to it,
Yeah,
right?
open to it.
It may be, I think people sometimes get embarrassed in their own home, even when nobody's watching them.
Isn't that true?
Right.
And
It took me a long time just to say, I'm meditating.
right.
Yes.
Nobody's
Correct.
You
watching
can't come
me.
in here.
Right.
And then the door will be closed. And I'll be
And then
like,
God forbid when you start to set up your like little altar space where you put the things,
Right,
right? I'm kind
right.
of like, nobody come in here.
Nobody
Like,
come in here, right?
nobody look at my office.
Am I on camera? No, you're not on camera,
Right?
you doofus.
Yeah.
But right. So there's always this kind of
Big Brother.
big brother idea. And so trying to figure out how to be open to doing things that make you feel like a dork.
Yes.
Or make you feel nervous.
Right.
Or make you feel who knows what. And
Yeah.
just giving it a try. And then the flip side of that, at least for me, maybe not for everybody, is knowing how to recognize when they work. Right? Because I might not be great at paying attention to the clues. So cultivating that, like, oh, I do not have butterflies in my stomach, and I did before.
Exactly.
Or my
That's a big
sleep was amazing, and usually it's a good C- at
Yeah.
sleeping. So things like that, trying to figure out, oh, what does it look like when I'm feeling great? Or what does my body feel like when I'm feeling great? And so maybe that's evidence that this one worked and I should do it more. It's hard.
So do you have
It
a
is hard.
journal or a notebook or something that you write these things down in? Or how are you keeping track of your evidence?
That's a good question.
Right. So I'm not, well, I don't like to self-define, but I'm not typically a good journaler. But I do make a little note, sometimes in the book. It's more like bullet points of when something made me feel great, or for this book it was really a whole season where I felt amazing. And but the recognition, the sort of somatic recognition, recognizing things in your body, is something that I've been doing for years and didn't even know it. Not until the last 2 years did I even know that that was a thing. But I've made some really big decisions by trying on different sentences. And so even like maybe 18, 20 years old or something like that. So I would be feeling, so when I'm nervous, I feel it in my stomach. And when I'm angry, I feel it sort of in my chest. And when I'm sad, I feel it up here in my throat. So,
And that's huge that you know that about yourself, by the way.
That's what I was getting ready to
Yeah.
say.
Well,
I
most people,
I'm old.
but still, I mean, take note, people out there
Right.
listening or watching. I think that's really powerful, just to say, good job that you know that about yourself, right?
I don't know how I recognize. I really, really don't. I can't attribute it to anything, but I would be able to, in my 20s, sort of know when something was bothering me because my stomach would feel funny, sort of butterfly-y for like a week. And so what I would do, because I'm, just because I'm sort of a dork, is I would sit there and I would pretend that something happened, and I would test whether that was the thing that was bothering me. So I would pretend that I got a phone call that said, "Hey, Nina, we canceled this meeting." And then I would feel, no, my stomach still feels garbagey. Okay, you're getting a phone call, and hey, Nina, you don't have to do this thing at work. No, that's not it. Hey, Nina, your tax return is $5,000. Oh, look at that. It's money. It's money that's bothering me. That's what I'm nervous of, because everything would sort of unwind.
Yeah.
And that's when I left my wonderful job with wonderful people. But I had some options in front of me, and I tested door number 1 with my stomach, and my stomach still felt in knots. I tested door number 2, my stomach still felt in knots. And I thought, oh, there has to be a door number 3 that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
So then I had to think about, what is door number 3? What's the third option that I haven't seen? Oh, it's time. It's time to go. And then when I said that to myself, I will never forget. I was at my computer at work. Everybody's wonderful, by the way. There's nothing bad. There's no drama.
It's just time.
But it was just time. And I tested that sentence, and I just felt like $1 million. My stomach unwound. And so
That's really amazing.
That is a
I
great
recommend
practice.
it if you can. If you can recognize where you hold these things or how they show up.
And also because I've done a similar thing. A couple of years ago, something happened to me, and I was the same thing. I was like, what in the world has me tied up in knots right now? I thought I was ready for this. I thought I was okay. I thought I had processed through everything. And so what's going on? Why am I still holding this same thing? It was just kind of that angst in your stomach. And I'm telling you, the minute that you can put your finger on what it is, it's not that for me, it's not that it made it go away right away, but it helped me identify what I needed to, it was like a muscle I needed to strengthen, right? It was like, oh, that's where I have a lot of fear around that. Okay, so I need to build up some muscle around that's going to make me feel more confident in that area so that I don't feel this fear that's going to, and it was holding me back. That's the thing. Yeah. It can sometimes keep you stuck. And if you can't identify what the piece is, so I'm so glad you just shared that, because I think that's such a great practice. Door number 1, door number 2.
I thought there were only 2 doors.
Right, I know.
I
there
really
may be
did.
10.
There may have been a whole bunch of doors,
Yeah,
but I was just like, shoot.
Right.
Neither one of these doors is solving it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like these rituals, that wasn't around a ritual per se, but these rituals, and you said this when you started, it gave you space. It gave you space. And that's what you really need to be able to feel what is happening in my stomach, or where is it in my body first, right? And then what's happening. And then to test out the doors, you need that time, the quiet, the space, and something like a ritual bath. You could do that in there too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that I'm curious about is, did this spark something in you that you said, are there other things that you've tried that aren't bath related, that might be
that are not bath related,
might be in the woo-woo
How
bucket?
many baths do you take?
I know. I'm gonna pour some water.
I don't know if it's woo-woo, because there's a lot of science there, but the whole idea of the vagus nerve is because it's science, that means I buy it, which is as equally as ridiculous as not buying something that's woo-woo. But I bought a book called Body by Breath, and it's a big tome, it's very academic. But what it does is it has all these breathing practices that strengthen your vagus nerve in different situations. And the idea that there's something that I thought was fairly fundamental to me that actually could be changed is not really something that I thought I could do physiologically. So, for example, anger right here
In the chest.
in the chest. And I think over time, so I don't have a short fuse. I really don't. I'm pretty even keeled. But when I do feel really, really angry, it's a lot. It's a lot of anger. And I either let it out or I don't. Mostly I don't, which is not ideal because that's a function of trust. I don't necessarily trust myself to do it effectively or thoughtfully. So then there's a lot of like, don't say it,
Just
even
don't
though
go there.
just don't even go there.
This is good. Keep going. Keep going.
So that trust in yourself, like you can talk about this without calling somebody a daft numpty in a workplace, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so that's something that I work on over time. And so I'm not going to call somebody a daft numpty to their face in a workplace, but I'm not going to say anything. That's not great
That's
either.
not good either.
Right.
So the idea that you can work on, that you can exercise your vagus nerve to help with
Hold
this
on one
response.
second, because there could be people sitting there going, what are they talking
what's the
about?
What are they
vagus nerve?
talking
Yeah.
about?
So the vagus nerve goes from the brain to your gut,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And that's important because
Because everything lives in your gut. The gut is the root of everything.
And your vagus nerve it's ancestral. So
Right.
it's comes straight from your mother, and it's ancestral. So it's kind of like you pull down generational.
the generational downloads.
Yeah, that's a good way
They
to say it.
enter down that vagus nerve.
It's the vagus
Yeah,
nerve.
exactly. You're imprinted, and
Just so everybody knows what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And you can take it or leave it, but
Yeah.
the nerve is there. That is real, and it touches all of your organs.
It's the superhighway.
It is the superhighway, and it's very primal, and it's very reptilian. And so we haven't, over time, well, asterisk, now I'm talking like I know what I'm talking about. So take it with a grain of salt. But
She's like, I read this book.
right, I learned a thing one time. So let me tell you why I'm an expert in it. I'm totally not. But as I understand it, everything I say should be
Yeah, this is your
prefaced
experience
with
as you're on this
I
journey.
understand it.
Yeah.
We're walking alongside you.
That's right.
Yeah.
But the idea that you can exercise the vagus nerve and strengthen it and change your responses instead of just you're angry at something, and so you're either going to push it out or keep it in. Door number 3, please.
Yeah. What's door number 3?
What's door number 3? Can I actually just say it and take whatever comes, or can
I don't know that I can.
Can I approach
no.
it with kindness? What does this mean? I don't know. And that's still a journey. I just don't know. But there are exercises that you can do. A lot of them are breathing, but some of them are with one of the little squishy balls that have a name that I can't remember. Where
Squishy ball is good.
The squishy balls. There's a name. I don't know. Where you're sort of pushing on different parts of your gut. You are relaxing different parts of your shoulders and pushing on it. So that has been basically the anger part is my next focus, because
Interesting.
fear in my gut is not that frequent. It comes, I sort of test it, and I can manage it, and I'm not particularly afraid very frequently. I'm not angry that frequently either, but I have less trust in myself to be able to manage it and process it.
And is the
Effectively.
anger
Yeah.
because there's just a lot of incoming at you, or
It can
or
be.
is it stuff that's bubbling up because you just didn't? I'm just curious. You don't have to go into specifics, but is it more reactionary stuff or more the world around you?
No, it's
or-
reactionary.
Okay.
And some of it isn't even anger. It just is patience. I sometimes have the patience of like a 4-year-old boy child. Different.
Very, very.
And so I'll give you an example. I am now commuting a couple days a week down to the very bottom of Manhattan. And so that means that I'm very close friends with the West Side Highway.
Yes.
And
so you drive?
I drive. Not always,
Okay.
but depending on what time I leave, I drive. And part of that drive actually is that there's some space there and there's some time.
Yeah.
And so when I'm on the West Side Highway and it's taking over an hour to get from the bottom to the top of Manhattan, what I've noticed is that there's breath work that I can do and that I'm not that irritated by it. I don't feel anxious. I don't feel impatient.
Love that.
And that is part of the focus on the vagus nerve and trying to take these opportunities to do this breath work. And so I'm not getting flustered. That's maybe a better word than angry, is the fluster element of it.
Right. And also just driving in traffic alone, right, is enough to fluster anyone.
Right.
And you have this whole new thing in your toolkit
Right.
to deal with that.
Right. Yeah.
So just even if somebody took anything away from this podcast today, it's that you may be commuting on the daily and you could actually use this type of breath work to manage that better so that you're not think of how much time people spend commuting to and from their jobs, right? And so if you had a different sort of mindful approach to that, boy, wouldn't that be so much easier to navigate your day?
Yeah.
And less
Imagine
stress
when
on your
you
body.
arrive,
Less stress on your body.
Yeah.
Because none of it is particularly healthy, all that commuting, sitting.
Right.
But doing a little bit of breath work. So I will usually do 4, 7, 8 for 10 times. And that's it. I mean, that takes like 3 minutes, not that big a deal.
Can you explain to people what 4, 7, 8 is?
Sure. So I'm breathing in for 4, I'm holding for 7, and I'm breathing out for 8. I learned this from a woman named Meg Robitaille, who's a young woman who operates out of Austin, Texas, and she does somatic healing work and is great. And she also lives in the real world and is a human. And so, so she taught me about that. But there's a lot of different, you can do a 4, 4, 8, where you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and release and breathe out for 8. What I've learned in this whole vagus nerve exploration is that it's really all about the longer exhale.
Yes.
Which I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so
I recently learned that myself.
Yeah.
That's what resets your nervous system, right?
Right. That's what tells your body you're not going to die.
That's right.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you, little Nina. It's going to be okay.
Nina Benina.
Little friend. I got you.
Yeah.
So when little Nina is like, oh my God, I can't take it. Like, look at this. I can take the time to breathe out for 8 counts. We're going to live.
Yeah.
It's all going to be okay.
It's all going to be okay.
I got the 8 count out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
That's beautiful. And
Yeah.
that's, I mean, in the end of it all, like the whole idea, the marker, like you were saying earlier about like, how do I pay attention and recognize when things are working? You just said it. You have a different reaction now. And that is usually a hallmark when you talk to spiritual teachers or people who are into personal growth and development. That's what they say. You know things are working when your reaction is different than it would have normally been.
Totally.
Just like your reaction to winter was different because of your ritual bathing. That
Totally
changed
different.
your relationship with that season.
Absolutely.
That's
well
huge.
said. That was
That's
a really
huge.
big deal.
Yeah.
And now I don't even say, oh, I hate the winter. You know, I have to figure out what I say now, but I
Welcome, winter.
I don't have a new narrative.
And mixing up a bath recipe for you.
Right. But it was a totally different experience this
Yeah.
winter, which was amazing. I mean, that was, talk about door number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing that could happen. I didn't know that I could be there on Sunday and just be excited that it was Sunday and not be like, I'm crying and I don't know why. It's just something my body's doing. Nobody
Yeah.
has to fix it.
Yeah. And I liked how much of this is somatic for you. You know,
Yeah.
you're a real somatic healer, you can tell. Like you're feeling it in your body. You're doing the rituals that really engage your body, engage your senses. You'd said like the bath, it's getting all the senses. And so that's really, you know, that's great because connecting your body with your mind and your spirit and all, I mean, it's all one thing working together. So it makes sense that you would have a practice, that there are practices that can help us engage with that.
Totally.
Yeah, and it means that you can change.
Yeah.
means
which
that you can change.
I didn't necessarily know. And I think that we, in modern society, now I sound like a get off my lawn type person, but I think there's a lot of self-definition. Like I'm not
Yes.
my kids will say to me, I'm not a cottage cheese guy. And I'm like, you're 8. What are you talking about? That's not you don't need to define yourself. I'm not a grilled cheese guy.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not a tennis person. Seriously? So, but I think grown-ups do that too. Well, I have a temper,
probably more.
or I have a really short fuse,
Right.
or
Right. The
I'm a
stories,
crier. I'm
these
a super
stories that we
emotional
tell
person.
ourselves, right?
I think women, it happens even more because they get told it.
Yes.
Well, I'm difficult. Well, I'm opinionated.
I'm moody.
Well, I'm moody. Right.
Such a bitch.
And you eat that, and you're like, "Oh, thank you. I thank you for giving that definition to me. I'm going to eat it and repeat it back." And so the attraction to me of the somatic piece, because I saw it with the baths, is door number 3. It's like, oh, maybe I'm not this way. It's just that I have been, and now I'm changing, and
That's right.
I have an impact on that change. Maybe I don't hate winter. I did, and now there's things that I can do so that I don't, or that my body behaves differently
Maybe you
in
will
winter.
always hate winter, but now you know how to deal with it.
Right, exactly.
Well,
Right?
you evolved. I mean, that's the
evolved.
whole name of the game here,
That's
right?
right.
Like, we're all trying to evolve in
Right.
our own particular way and up against our own particular challenges. So
Right.
it's when we stop that and say, "Nope, this is just how I am," or "This is just how it is,"
Right.
and it's like, "Whoa, whoa." I love the door number 3
I
thing.
love the door number 3 thing.
I know. I don't even know what it means, but it felt that way with the
Yeah.
job decision.
Yeah,
It's really
sure.
like these choices are not serving me at all. There
Yeah.
has to be another one.
Right.
And I don't know what it is. So now that's my work. Now I have to figure out what's behind door number 3.
Yeah.
And that's hard work.
It's hard work. And that's the whole point, too, right? I mean, no one is going to show up and say, Nina, well, you looked at these 2 doors. And so
Is
those are
door
the
number
only
3
doors.
The lottery. Right, exactly.
So let me
No.
help you out. This is what you have to do.
Right.
No, right? And fortunately, you also had the good sense to say, all right, what else? What else?
Right.
It's not 1, it's not 2, but what else?
Right.
Yeah. And
Scary,
so scary.
right? How could
And
it not
I
be?
even, just thinking back, and this is a really long time ago, but I had a really important decision that I had to make. And, you go through all the best case, worst case scenario thinking, right?
Pro con.
Right. And then it's, well, what is my mother going to think of me? Or what is, right? And then what is this person going to think of me? And right. And so, but doing the work meant I'm just going to take the chance on myself. And I know that this is right for me. Regardless of what happens, I'm ready to just step over that little hump on the other side, right? And for you, that's door number 3.
Right. And recognizing what's right for me is
Because
hard.
as
I
you
don't
said,
always
nobody
do that.
in that job situation or that work environment, lovely people, all
Yeah.
fine.
No drama.
And somebody could have said, well, okay, Nina, get your, like, a person trying to make that same decision could have just squashed the fact that there could even be a door number 3. Because who are you to not like what's going on here?
Right.
Why
Yeah.
isn't that good enough for you?
Yeah.
Right,
Oh, that's
Right?
a big one.
Right.
That's a big one to
I mean,
hold
come
everybody
on.
back.
What's so bad here?
I know. I did have to answer that question a lot. And I don't think people believed me when I said, nothing,
Yeah.
nothing. Well, why would you leave something that's good?
Exactly.
Well,
When it's no longer aligned.
I don't have a good answer for that. It feels like the right time. I feel like it feels like an ending, and I am interested in a new beginning, which I don't know what it is.
Even harder for people to
Even harder.
understand.
People are
Yeah.
like, "What
They're
are
like,
you
okay,
insane?
You're going
Yeah.
off the deep end.
You have
here.
gone off the deep end." And of course, now we're a year and a half later. Such a good decision, but totally scary, and yeah, very hard to rationalize those decisions.
Because I don't think you can. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's because you said it. If you said it once, you said it 10, maybe 100 times. You kept saying feeling. I just feel like I feel. And back to the whole somatic thing. Your body knew, and it told you, and you went through
Absolutely.
a practice so that it could tell you. It's all inside.
Yeah.
It's all
We
inside.
always have the answer. It's in there. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of what tool are we going to use? What ritual can we use to help give us the space to excavate it out? I love the practices that
Yeah.
you shared today. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
above and beyond the bath, which
100%.
is fantastic. Like,
Yes.
so many
Thanks.
good things from
Yes.
this conversation.
So we're definitely linked to these fine people, Dakota Hills and Sierra
Yeah.
Brashear. Is that how we say
Brashear,
her
I
last
think
name?
so.
Very cool. In case
Yeah.
anybody's interested in that. Nina, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me,
It
you
was
guys.
so
What a
fun.
treat.
treat for us. Thank you so much.
And I'm on an oracle
Oh, okay.
card.
for everyone who saw episode 1 of season 2.
So I got inspired. But we don't.
Okay.
Do we know the order? Well, I don't know. We don't know the order that these episodes are coming out yet, do we?
No?
I don't know. Maybe you
know.
do. I don't know.
I don't know.
But we did a fun thing with the oracle cards, and this
Okay.
is a new deck. I actually haven't even used this deck.
Oh my gosh, I
But,
cannot wait to see what
Have
comes
you guys
flying
read
out
The
of this one.
Untethered Soul by Michael Singer?
I have, yes, I'm very familiar.
I have
with it.
not. I know what
That
it
might be a
is,
good
but I
one
have
for
not
you
read it.
to
Sure.
check out. But now he's got this deck of oracle cards out. So
Ooh.
it's a 32 card deck. And Beck, I don't have my glasses on,
Yes.
so you're just going to read a little synopsis
am.
there,
Okay.
so that people listening can understand. We'll take this
Okay.
little
So at the
card.
top, it says, soar beyond your boundaries every single day. Love that. So drawing on the wisdom of the life-changing New York Times bestseller, The Untethered Soul, these extraordinary cards feature 52 profound and uplifting quotes that will inspire you to break through your limitations, cultivate lasting peace and tranquility, and discover who you really are. Love it.
So what I love about decks, right, and people can explore them, because what if, Nina, you need a bath, but you haven't gathered your things,
Yep.
and you're short on, what you can put in your tub or whatever, right?
Or you don't have time.
Or sometimes I just go, all right, I'm just going to pull a card.
Yeah.
I take a card into my bath with me or into my meditation space, right?
You
it's
have a
kinda
huge
like-
long commute and you want to
or you have a long
have your
commute,
brain
or-
focused
yeah,
instead
you're
of
stuck
running
in
wild.
traffic in the car.
Smart idea.
It's a little mindfulness, but we're going to have Nina pick.
Have Nina.
Oh,
Have
okay.
Nina pick and read the card.
All right.
Because sometimes a card is just a great way to just shift your energy, your mindset, or move through a situation.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put these cards down here.
Okay.
And if you want to spread them a little more, you can, or just feel like one that might be calling out to you.
All right. I'm
And
going
pull
to
it
take
and
this
read the
guy.
Okay.
Going beyond. Would you like to go beyond yourself? Would you like to feel no edges? All right. So what's that bringing up for you? No edges.
Ooh, no edges. I mean, an edge for me. Well, you go first. You.
There's some, for me, there's some body stuff there. Some, not some somatic body stuff, but just some body image stuff.
Okay.
Like, what does it feel like to be somebody who doesn't think about how your body is looking at that moment? Right? Like,
Yeah.
how far out is my belly sticking? Right, exactly.
The edge of my belly.
Right, exactly. Where is the edge of my belly?
Yeah.
Like there's as evolved as I may be, the edge of my body, the amount of space I take up takes up some space in my brain. And it would be amazing to be in a place where there's where my body is, how much space my body's taking up doesn't have an edge.
matter.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be magic.
Oh, I love
That's
that.
a good one.
Brain
That's a
space.
good one to work on.
All
you
right,
wanna go?
Tammy,
Sure.
you go.
Yeah. Well, I guess it kind of feeds into what I was thinking, which is the edge for me is the programming of society and people telling me what my edge should be, right? And I'm like, well, no. I actually want to reach out farther or, push the edge, push the boundary. So, yeah, that was something where I was like, okay, go beyond, right? Because sometimes we feel like other people think we're too much, right? And so that's like been a thing. And I'm tired of playing small because somebody thinks I'm too much,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I don't know. There might be something there.
I think that's a really big thing that you just said.
You do?
Yeah, for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
The
think
like,
that's right.
which muscle are you flexing? Which muscle are you investing in? The muscle to keep yourself small, or the muscle to take up space and be big.
Yeah.
I think that that's a really
Start
important thing.
Start
flexing. That other muscle.
Right.
Yes. I know. I have some work to do.
Yeah.
And Becky?
Well, it's funny when I heard you read that, it made me think of a meditation that I've done several times. I do these guided meditations where she has you feel the energy in your body and where the energy meets your skin. And then she talks about like, now feel the energy going out from your body and filling the whole room and then filling the whole house and filling, your
kind neighborhood. And
that
world.
kind of meditation. And so that's what popped in my mind when you first said that, was like going beyond the edges of, and it's a similar thing to you. I think my edge that I'm up against is what's interesting, because as a performer, as a singer and playing out all the time, I am most comfortable when we're playing gigs where we are the background music, where nobody's particularly looking at us, right? And if we have to be looked at, and if we're the main stage center of attention, I prefer for that to be our full band, right? Because then there's strength in numbers. But when it's just like Peter and I together, or if it's just me and another guitarist or something, that is super uncomfortable for me. And I'm laughing because Peter's over here engineering our podcast for us, so he's probably laughing. But whenever a time comes up and he'll say like he has to change a string or something, he'll be like, just say something in the mic. And I'm like, nope. I clam up. So for me, that edge is like allowing that energy, right, to just fill up the space and be okay that it's my energy filling up the space.
Totally.
So that's my edge.
See,
That's
that was a
really
card.
good.
That was a card,
That
people.
was a card. And three
that's how
different
easy.
reactions.
That's how easy it is
Yeah.
to just.
That was
Shift.
really good,
Yeah.
Becky. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you clam up because you don't have anything to say or you don't trust yourself to say something.
That's right. I think it's the
That's,
latter. I think it's
yeah.
I don't trust. It's like, oh, what if I say something that sounds stupid? Or
Yeah,
it's,
so much is about trust.
Yeah.
In yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. And
And
has
that's a
been
theme
big
that came
theme
up for
me.
both of us.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, just trust yourself.
Just trust yourself.
Me, I need to go beyond and trust myself, and
I just need to trust
you
myself.
just need to trust yourself. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
you need to
Same.
trust yourself.
Same.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes.
Feel all the things.
Feel them all.
Be all the things.
Soak in a good bath.
Right.
Oh gosh, yes, I want one now.
I know. I'm definitely
The
trying
pictures
this.
in the book where they
The
have these
pictures.
big basins outside in the Southwest.
I love that.
Seriously?
I
Can
know,
I
right?
please have one of those?
Under a
We need
big,
to book that
beautiful,
trip.
Big
Sky.
sky?
Mm-hmm.
The outdoor thing?
Yes.
Oh, outdoor bathing, yes.
Okay, there is a place,
Big
I will tell you,
yes.
there's a place in Montana. It's a dude ranch that I went there, but they had the big copper
Yes.
baths outside.
Oh, we need that link.
We need to go there.
Yeah.
Yes.
We should go there and do
That's
do
a woo-woo
bath
in the
ritual.
wild.
It is woo-woo in the wild. Let's go.
Ooh, let's
Yes.
do that. I'm in.
Okay.
Okay. On that
love-
note.
on that note.
Right. We could be here
We'll
another
see you
hour.
next time.
All right.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.